Okay, this time on Unsealed, we're going to do something just a little bit different. We're going to get away from the hockey for just a little bit. We will come back to more of it next week. But I want to talk a little bit more, and don't ask why just yet, about this game right here. This is ESPN X Games Skateboarding from Konami. It is ESPN branded, and it came out in 2001. If you didn't watch that episode, basically it is two games in one. The first game is just like X Games events that you would watch on ESPN. There's a vert event and there's a street event. You are scored, and the highest scores, the three highest scores, get X Games medals. The other half of the game plays just like a Tony Hawk game would. You go through different courses. There are different objectives to meet, such as scoring objectives or knocking over certain objects. Once you complete all of those objectives, then you move on to the next stage. Again, it's very familiar to those who have played Tony Hawk games before. It's not as good as Tony Hawk, believe me. It looks okay for an early PS2 game. It's not going to win any awards for looks, but to me, it was a lot of fun. It was the game that introduced me to Linkin Park, which, of course, nowadays we don't get to talk about very much with Chester being gone. But I liked it. I was one of the few people that liked it. I was just starting to get into video game reviewing seriously back in 2001, and it was a game that I covered for a website which is no longer around, so I've lost access to that review. But it was a game that I enjoyed. It kind of went against the grain a little bit in terms of people's opinions. What I did not expect was that after Konami lost the ESPN license, and of course we know that that went to Sega, that they would try and do one more skateboarding game. They weren't quite done with the extreme stuff yet. And that brings us to the topic of today's video. This is from 2002, and this game is called Evolution Skateboarding. I'll try and hold it back here a little bit so it's easier to see against the glare. This is the unofficial sequel to ESPN X Games Skateboarding. Now, of course, there's no X Games events this time. This is more focused on objective-based skating. There's even some boss battles in this game, if you can believe that. And what's most notable about this particular game is that this is the game that boasts skateboarding with, yeah, Solid Snake from the Metal Gear Solid series. So if you've ever wondered what Solid Snake could do on a skateboard, whether he could pull a mute grab or whether he could nose grind down a rail, this is the game to own to find out. This game is a bit worse than ESPN X Games Skateboarding. It's okay. It's average to maybe just slightly below average. But we'll talk more about it once I get this opened up. Again, this is factory sealed. We've got the label here at the top, Evolution Skateboarding. I'll move it in front of the camera. It is sealed still, so we'll go ahead and we'll open it up. This is one of those games that has the little pull tab on the side, so we'll try and do this on camera so that you can see it, pulling that off. And then we can just kind of slide that up just like that, and we'll crinkle it and throw it away. There's a bottom part here as well. And we'll go ahead and we'll open this up. Okay, so when we open up the inside, we do have the Evolution Skateboarding disc. We also have, unfortunately, one of the tabs just let loose, but we also have the instruction manual as well. This is also one of the games that has a space for the memory card on the top, too. So let's go ahead and we will take a look at the instruction manual here. Inside the instruction manual, first of all, we do have a warranty card, and we'll get to that in a minute. The manual is a full-color manual, which is a nice touch. It does have some screenshots that you can see. It does explain the instructions. There's a sticker edit. You can edit your own combos, which is kind of cool. There are different modes of play that you can look at as you go here. The music credits range from Primus to Stereo MCs, CKY, Default, one of my favorite bands from this period of time, Unwritten Law, Il Nino, and more. It's an interesting game. Again, it didn't captivate audiences like the Tony Hawk games did. And of course, in 2002, 2003, we're getting ready for Tony Hawk 4. We're getting ready to do open world. We looked at Aggressive Inline from Acclaim, which was kind of like the head-to-head battle, Tony Hawk versus Aggressive Inline, and this was kind of one of those games that fell by the boards. I don't think it's a terrible game. Again, it takes a really, really bad game for me to badmouth it. But I do recognize the fact that the game is flawed. It has a decent soundtrack. Again, there are boss battles in the game. There are some loose references to other Castlevania franchises. There's a level in the game or an area in the game that feels very Castlevania-ish. And some people may like that, some people may not. I thought that was pretty neat. I don't know if there's anything else in the manual that's worth looking into. No, not really. If I remember right, and I may not, if I remember right, there's... you know what, forget it. I'm not going to even go there. It does mention here in the manual, and you're probably not going to see it unless you look really close, but that's Hideo Kojima's name for KCEJ. And again, because Solid Snake is in the game, that's why he's being mentioned. This is completely developed in Japan. There are no Western developers involved with this game, and that may explain why some of the play controls feel a little bit off. They have their own way of doing things, and it does take some getting used to. It's not unplayable, but it's definitely different. So yeah. That is Evolution Skateboarding, which was in 2002. It also has the Vans King of Skate. You can see it down there next to the Konami logo. The last time we saw that was with Grind Session for the original PlayStation. That was a Sony release title. So there you go. That's also interesting. Plus, we have the old Konami logo, not the new one, down at the bottom, which is pretty neat. I wound up getting that game for $10, and I figured I would get it because, like the other games that I've picked here, it's a game that I don't have a manual for. I just had the case and the disc, so it was nice to finally have that complete. Some people have asked me what I'm going to do with the games that are loose or that aren't complete, and the very short answer is I don't know yet. I may give those out. I may bring those to Retro World Expo with me in September this year, and I may give some of those out then. I may talk about that a little bit more on camera as we get closer to the show. If you're in the Southern New England area, I do recommend, of course, I'm a bit biased because I'm part of the staff, but if you do live in Southern New England, or you can get here during the first weekend of September, September 8th and 9th. That is when our show is. Visit RetroWorldExpo.com, and you can check out details about the show. We haven't released any guest lists or anything like that just yet, but that information will be coming soon, and I would like to meet you at the show if you make the trip. So that's a look at Evolution Skateboarding. Next week, which is just after Labor Day, I do have a little bit more hockey lined up, and I also have a very special series of games that has started on the PlayStation, continues on the PlayStation 2, and I'll be covering all 3 of the games in that series for the PS2 next week. I'm really, really looking forward to that because I'm really, really looking forward to opening those. Also in the future, I do have a few older original PlayStation titles, and also coming down the pike, I also have a couple of issues of a certain magazine that are sealed that I'm going to open up on camera, and a bunch more stuff. So I hope that you'll stay with me here on the YouTube channel watching unscripted, unsealed episodes. I keep mixing up the two. Thank you very much for watching. It really does mean a lot. If you do have any comments, please feel free to leave them. And until the next time, see you later, my friends. Take care.